Hey everybody, tutorial on how to use this. This is the ESP8266 Wi-Fi module. And so what this is going to do is going to allow us actually to connect our Arduino to Wi-Fi and communicate with it wirelessly. The thing about this is that it is way more complicated than any of the other modules that we've used. So usually you will have some module like a motor, and it's got some wires, and you plug this into the Arduino, you upload some code, and it just kind of works. This is a little bit different. This is actually kind of like a mini Arduino. So we could actually just we could program this, we could connect it to sensors, and we could have this work just like a little Arduino. And so it has basically a microprocessor and memory. And so it's basically a little computer. And so that makes it way more complicated than any of the other modules that we've worked with, because we actually have to program this module. So we're going to have to send code to this computer so that it has instructions for what we want it to do. And then we can use it. And so to send code to this Wi-Fi module, it's a little complicated, but you can do it. I'm going to walk you through how to do it right now. So I'm going to share my screen with you. There should be some source code on the classroom curriculum website, as well as a link to a text tutorial. So this is the text. This is the text tutorial. And so this is going to be really useful. This is going to show us how to wire everything together. And so when we are ready to program our ESP8266, we actually need to connect it to an Arduino. Then we need to connect this Arduino to the computer. And the computer is going to send code. It's going to send code through the Arduino to this Wi-Fi module, and the Wi-Fi module is going to read and store that code and then use it later on. And so we actually have two different wiring setups. We have a wiring setup for whenever we're trying to install code onto the Wi-Fi module, and we have a separate setup for when we actually want to use this Wi-Fi module. So this diagram right here is showing you the wiring setup for when we want to install code onto our Wi-Fi module. And these resistors right here are each 1K resistors. So you can get those set up, and let's actually, it might be better to start off. We want to make this simpler, we're going to want to first install a blank or an empty code onto our Arduino, so our Arduino doesn't get confused. Then we'll wire it up. Then we'll install code onto this Wi-Fi module. And so to do this, to work with this Wi-Fi module, you do have to have the Arduino IDE desktop version installed. And so there's a tutorial on how to do that on the website. So make sure you've gone through and you've got this Arduino IDE installed. And then the first thing we're going to want to do, we're going to want to first start by loading a blank sketch onto our Arduino. So I'm just going to go to File. I'm going to open Recent. I'm going to open my empty sketch. You can also just open up a new sketch. And here's an empty sketch. And so I'm going to make sure that I've got my Arduino Uno selected. It's connected. I've got my right port. And I'm going to upload and basically load a blank sketch onto my Arduino. So first thing, clear out your Arduino. Right. After you get that done, yes, I'm still presenting good. After you get that done, wire up your Wi-Fi module like this. You can see that there are several pins here that are not being used. And it's a little bit hard to see which pins are which, because these pins are actually coming out the back of this module. And so you kind of have to orient. I'm going to actually show you how I do this because it's not the easiest. So you kind of have to orient your Wi-Fi module, and it tells you which pins to plug into, but then you have to actually plug them in on the back. And one thing about, we're going to be using, you should have a bunch of cables that look like this that have like a jumper wire with a female end on one end, male end on the other. And one thing about these is that these ours are pretty cheap, and so they can be kind of loose. And so I found the best thing that you can do is to actually install wires onto every single one of these. So I just cut up basically 2 different sections of 4. I'm going to wire these onto here. Let's see how quickly I can do that. Not that quickly. Essential tremor. It's not a good thing. There's 4. Maybe. There we go. All right, those are nice and snug. Here's another 4. And I know that this is like the most exciting content you've probably ever seen, is me struggling to actually put wires into here. But there's a good reason, because I was messing around with this for hours, and I kept getting error messages, and I could not figure out why it wasn't working. And then I started jiggling this, and I realized I was getting some more error messages. I realized that my wires weren't tight. So you want to get these. Oh yeah, these are nice and tight. Oh yeah. So now I've got, basically, I want to put all 8 onto there. And you might even want to take a piece of tape like this and just wrap it around. And this is just, like I say, when you waste a couple hours because your wires weren't tight, you make sure that they're tight from then on. All right, so that is nice and tight. Now the battle of trying to figure out which pin is which and which color it goes to and how to wire. Good luck. I kept messing it up. Like, be like, which wire is this? Is this the black one or the green one or the yellow one? Just be patient. It's not easy. Let me share my screen with you now. You're going to need 2 1K resistors, and you're going to have to try to figure out how to get everything wired in right. The thing is, I had things wired in wrong, and I never broke anything. My Wi-Fi module is still working, even though I had different wires switched around at several different times. One thing to be really careful about is that this red wire right here is going into 3.3 volts. And so this is getting 3.3 volts of power. So that's one thing. If you're having trouble, if you're trying to, I guess we'll talk about loading code onto this next, and a couple troubleshooting options that I found work for me. So now, you've got this wired up. You've got your blank sketch loaded onto your Arduino. And now you're ready to put code onto this. Hey, I've got the code already set up. It's in our online web editor. Or it's in the link that I said that should be with this tutorial. And so this is here it is. It's this ESP8266 communicating with our Arduino. So this is the code for the ESP8266. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to put it onto my not my empty sketch. Maybe let's open up a new one. I'm going to create a new sketch. I'm going to say Control A to select all. I copied with Control C, and I'm going to press Control V to paste. So now I've got that entire code onto here. I might want to save it, but there's a couple things I need to do, and it walks you through how to do this stuff. Down lower. So So there's the wiring diagram using the Arduino IDE. There's it. No, keep going. Setting as a global server. Connecting your components. Here it is. So this is the section that you're going to need to do next. Programming the ESP8266. And you're just going to follow through. Go to File, go to Preferences. You're going to enter this. Oops. Enter this website into right here, just like they did. So I can actually show you. So if I go, remember your file will be right around here. Mine's up at the top because I'm on a Mac. You go File. No, it's actually under Arduino on my Mac. It's Preferences. And you'll see I've already got mine installed right here. But this is the website. You're going to need to press OK. Once you do that, then you should be able to go into Tools, go into Boards, and you're going to go into Boards Manager. So I'm going to go into Tools. Remember, your tools will be right around here. Tools, I'm going to go into Boards. I'm going to go into Boards Manager. I'm going to search on this board for the ESP8266. ESP8266. Enter. And here it is. You can see that I've already installed this. So you're going to, I think right here is where you press Install. After it's installed, you can press Close. Now that you've got the ESP8266 board installed, so this is why we had to use the desktop version. The online version, to access this, you have to pay. So this is only a free way to do this. But we're going to go up to Tools. And now we need to send this code to our ESP8266 Wi-Fi module. So we should have a blank code already loaded onto Arduino. We should have it wired up. Oops. So this installs, yep, they've got their version. We should have it wired up just like this. And once I've got those two things, on my Arduino, I need to go to Tools. I need to go to Board. I'm going to change my board to generic ESP8266 module. All right. This is what you want, generic ESP8266 module. I don't have mine plugged in. So you can see it's starting to, ooh. You are also going to need to add a library to your desktop version. So the online versions automatically add libraries, but the desktop versions do not. And for this to work, we need this library, this Arduino JSON library. To add a library, ooh, it's a good thing I remembered this. You're going to go up to Tools, and you're going to go to Manage Libraries. So basically, you want to check whenever you upload code. You might get an error message if you try to upload this code without including this library. But in this include, you just want to make sure that all of these things have been highlighted, so it's been identified. So I want to click on, I want to say Arduino. It's still updating my list of libraries, so let the computer work. There we go. It's updated. I'm going to search Arduino JSON. So here's the library, and I'm going to press Install. And it's going to install that library. Updating list, install, install. Come on, you can do it, computer. There we go. Come on. You got this. All right. Closing this out. All right, so now we've got this library installed. The last thing that you're going to need to do is you are going to need to change your SSID. So this is the name of your Wi-Fi network, and this is the password for your Wi-Fi network. So the name of your Wi-Fi network, if you go up to where you connect, I'm on LBDS. So if it was me, I would put my network name right here, LBDS. And I want to keep these quotation marks in there. And so then I would put my password. So if my password was 1234, keep the quotation marks and just put in the password 1234. Now I've got everything set up. I should have my library included. I've got my 8266 module. I think that's it. There might be something else. I don't have this actually plugged in, so I can't test to make sure that this is going to work. So this, yeah, this should work. And yeah, that's you're gonna open up, after you load this, you're gonna open up the serial port. You're gonna change this to make sure this is on 9600. And when you load this, it should hopefully go through. You might get some error messages down here. A couple of error messages are this thing will try to connect, and it will time out connecting. So it will say connecting, it'll be ... dash ... and it will continue to do that, and it might time out. Couple options for you that I found that have worked. Here's the wiring diagram. One thing you can do is you can put a wire between the reset button on the Arduino and the negative terminal of the negative rail of your breadboard. All right, so basically connecting this reset to negative is one option. That might help. Another option, this wire right here that's connected to the positive rail of your breadboard and has a 1 kilo ohm resistor with it. This you can actually unplug and plug back in to reset your Wi-Fi module. And so I found sometimes when it's trying to connect, if I unplug this wire and I plug it back in, it will be able to connect. Don't ask me why. I am not a computer expert, but I know it works. That's most of it. If you come up with any other questions, obviously ask, but now you should be able to write code. Ooh, there's one more thing. Let's see here. When we actually want to use this, when we want to use this thing. So this is the wiring for when we want to code it. Okay, so if we want to use this Wi-Fi module, what we're going to do is we're going to actually disconnect this black wire right here. So wait, no, this is not how I've been setting this up. What is going on here? Ooh, this is different than what I've been doing. So there was another. Try this. See if it works, because I actually had it wired slightly differently. I had another wire going to a negative in there somewhere. Because I was working there's like 10 different tutorials on how to do this, and they're all different. All right, so try this. Doesn't work, let me know. I've got a couple other options, a couple other wires you can try connecting to places. But when we want to use this, we're definitely going to want to take out, if we set a reset pin, we're going to want to take it out. If you have this extra wire coming into the negative, you're going to want to take that out. You're also then going to want to unplug your RX and your TX cables so that we can install some software onto our Arduino. And so we're going to install some software onto our Arduino, and there's going to be a link to this as well. Let's see here. Close. Arduino communicate with ESP8266. Here it is. So here's the code. You are going to load this onto your, so this is set up to take latitude and longitude data and send it to the Wi-Fi module. The Wi-Fi module then passes that data onto the internet. So if you don't have, you're also gonna, if you don't have this, man, I think you're gonna have to do this. If I remember right, this is not gonna compile. I think you're gonna have to do this from from the desktop IDE. Oh, it's saved. Okay, it does compile. Okay, you can just do this from the online IDE because we have the regular serial rate. We should be good. So you're gonna put this onto the Arduino. After you've loaded this onto the Arduino, you're gonna come back. Instead of plugging your RX and TX into the same pins, you're actually gonna switch them around. So your RX pin is gonna get plugged into TX. Your TX pin is gonna get plugged into RX. Because now what's happening is that these are kind of two separate computers. They're gonna talk back and forth to one another. Whereas before, we had them set up so that we can kind of communicate through them. Now we're having them set up so that they can talk back and forth. So our RX and TX are gonna get switched around from this. Then we should be able to add our power. You should be able to go to, oh man, there's so much here. Because, so this is gonna be sending to a website. To figure out what website this is sending to, you actually need to start this up and open up your serial monitor a few steps ago. So before you loaded the code onto this Arduino IDE, when it was still blank, you still had it wired like this. You should be able to start this up. You're gonna have to, yeah. And it should, yeah, you should be able to see the website that this is sending information to. I think I might just have to show you because explaining it's too hard. Then, once you disconnect these wires, install the program onto the Arduino. This is the just regular program that's going to communicate. Switch these wires up, fire it back up. You should be able to go to the website. You should be able to press refresh on that website. That website is going to send a signal to this Wi-Fi module. The Wi-Fi module is going to send a signal to the Arduino. The Arduino is going to read that signal. It's going to read whatever sensors are connected to it. It's going to gather that data. It's going to send that data back to the Wi-Fi module. The Wi-Fi module is then going to send that data back to the website. And so, yeah. Yeah, oh man. Like I said, the Wi-Fi module is 100 times more complicated than any of the other modules, than the fingerprint sensor or the heart rate monitor or anything else. So yeah, so you just, I mean, I messed this thing up. I don't know how many times. It took me a long time to figure it out. I didn't explain it very well. It is what it is. I'm done with this tutorial. Ask me individually when you have questions. Good luck.